Since the announcement of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is in development and will be released sometime next year, we are slowly receiving some information on what this new flight sim will have to offer. In this video, we're going to check out what we know about the update when it comes to the flight model and ground handling, so let's jump into the video. The current flight sim, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, is a next generation sim that is leaps and bounds of what we have seen with previous generations. 2020 exceeds in many ways, such as performance, weather, and global graphics, just to mention a few. One of the reasons why Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 has come about is that Asobo mentioned that the sim of 2020 had reached its limits of what it can do, and to take the sim forward, the team needs to go back and redevelop the sim's code, game engine, and architect to enable the sim to advance to the next level that they want to take it to. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, as great as it is largely shared of old and modified code from its predecessor, which is Flight Simulator X or FSX, which is over 17 years ago since its release, and it was built for a different generation of simulator technology. 2020's flight model and ground handling are no exception to that rule. Yes, it's been enhanced and modified for 2020, but it still holds the root code when it comes to the old FSX days. Until recently, we really had only seen a tease of this new simulator has in store for us when it comes to the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. But one of the improvements the Asobo team has hinted and shown is some of the new updates of the more realistic flight mechanics and ground handling, which is something that the flight sim community has been asking for a long time. When it comes to FSX, the flight mechanics had a single point of the center of the aircraft and some tables that could be changed. In 2020, the team expanded on that code and added more surfaces where they could have points of data at. The Microsoft team mentioned when it comes to 2020, even though they did improve the flight mechanics a little bit, they never really gave much control to the third-party developers when they were creating the aircraft. They could really only fine-tune some of the aspects like the size of the aircraft or the wingspan. When it comes to the 2024 sim, Asobo is aiming to give third-party developers a lot more control of the flight mechanics and how they can interact with the aircraft. Asobo, with its new sim, will supply templates to third-party developers, making and creating aircraft a lot more quicker and a lot more easier. With the new sim, the team plans to have the sim multi-threaded, which will enable higher performance when it comes to the sim's flight mechanics and ground handling. The sim will be able to handle all sorts of new technology that Asobo is planning to implement that we haven't seen or been done at this level before, including rigid and soft body aircraft, tissue fabric, and rope, which was displayed briefly in the new hot air balloon technology that was showcased at the 2023 Flight Sim Expo. During the presentation, Asobo showcased the current data points in Flight Simulator 2020, one with a Cessna 172 and the Capri helicopter, which really only show the control surfaces that had those data points. With Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, the team is aiming to increase this, including the whole aircraft, including the airframe, making the fuselage of the aircraft more realistic and accurate. With this new implementation of the physics, the team mentions the same principles can be added to all sorts of other aircraft such as balloons, parachutes, and more. Other systems that affect how the aircraft behaves in the air will be receiving an overhaul as well, such as the weight and balance system, as well as passenger and wear and tear systems. We don't have much information about these upgrades or systems for the moment and how they will change with the 2024 sim, but Asobo mentions they will be completely overhauled. If you are enjoying the video, please consider subscribing. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers and we would love to have you on board before we hit that milestone. Thank you very much for your support. A big thank you to Protest Sims for sponsoring this YouTube video. Their products enhance your current flight simulator hardware by turning your flight controls into something closer to the real thing. The team makes different add-ons for flight controls such as Honeycomb, SciTech, and Velocity over a variety of different aircraft, including Boeing, BAE, Cessna Citation, VisionJet, TBM, just to mention a few. The team has been staying up with all the latest releases when it comes to aircraft and have new additions to the fleet, such as the E-Jet series throttles, the new Fokker F-28 throttles, and also ATR 42 and 72 throttle sets. The current add-on I'm using at the moment is the Wendesdsay's new dual action Boeing 737 add-on for the Honeycomb Bravo, which features a detent flap and speed brakes. This really improves the immersion and realism of my flights. For Oz Flight Sim viewers, you can use this code AUSFS on checkout for a 15% discount on all Wendesdsay products. I'll leave a link in the description of where you can check out their page, and a big thank you to our friends over at Wendesdsay for sponsoring this video. Moving over to ground handling and how the current aircraft operate and interact on the ground. The same principle that we have seen with FSX to Microsoft Flight Simulator 20 as we did with the aircraft flight mechanics, a similar effect has been happening when it comes to ground handling in the current sim. Yes, we've seen some improvements since the previous generation of flight simulators such as FSX, but not entirely accurate. This was alluded to in a recent development live stream from the Microsoft Flight Simulator team, that with some new improvements they have been enhancing with the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 platform sim and rewriting the physics engine, they were able to bring some of those effects into 2020 and improve the current sim's ground handling, which we'll see in a future sim update next year, and then later on a more realistic improvement when it comes to the new 2024 sim when it's released. Currently the sim ground handling is the way it is due to each wheel suspension parameters only going up and down at this point, which really restricts the movement of the aircraft, and it's not realistic. In real life, you have added a movement of the aircraft such as tires and airframe, which is not only more up and down, it will also tilt, move from left and right, and also twist and flex. The Microsoft team have been adding new parameters when it comes to the 2024 platform to ground handling, not only suspension, but includes the aircraft airframe and defines how flexible that airframe can be. This allows the aircraft and airframe to store some sort of energy when it comes to landing, bouncing crosswind landings, and turning and stopping the aircraft. The airframe helps to damper the energy just like the real thing. We will actually see some of these ground improvements hit the 2020 sim with sim update 15 at the start of next year, and more detailed ground handling updates to hit the 2024 release. Both of these ground handling and flight dynamics updates greatly improve how the aircraft feel in the sim, ranging from small GA aircraft to airliners. These are not only the effects and updates we will see with the new sim when it comes to how the aircraft dynamics work. As the team has mentioned, they have already heavily rewritten and improving the code, and this appears to only be the tip of the iceberg when it comes to improvements we will see with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. The great news is that we are seeing some of these effects cross over already into the 2020 sim. We are expecting teasers and glimpses into some of the improvements we will see with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 to start rolling out very soon on a more frequent basis. As we did with the 2020 release, we are planning to follow the development progress and provide breakdowns videos such as this one. If you're interested with that sort of content, please consider subscribing, and we look forward to bringing you more weekly content for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024.